Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Jazz Borganzo here. Another episode of What's Next. Two things on the slate. One, we're going to take a trip back to the joys of Reid, where nonsense happens, usually because of whiteness. And then we're going to take a trip to CNN and, if you're black, you like Trump, you must be a white supreme. Oh boy. Let's go, folks. This comes out of the Blaze. Liberal commentator demands Biden deputize doctors to perform abortions in Texas. Time to play hardball. And he means it. This clown, Eli Mistel. Liberal commentator Eli Mistel, whose expertise are in legal issues, demanded Thursday that President Joe Dementia deputize doctors to create a federal force of physicians who can perform abortions in defiance of the pro-life law in Texas. Abortion advocates have been expressing outrage this week. Oh, they're triggered. They are. After the Supreme Court upheld a Texas law that outlaws abortions after roughly 6 weeks into pregnancy. It's called the heartbeat bill, and it's when you can detect the heartbeat of the fetus, i.e. baby, 6 weeks. What are the details? Ms. Dow advocated on MSLSD, I had to get that pronunciation correct, the Reid Out, nobody watches, that Biden should use the power of the pen to unilaterally establish a federal force of doctors to skirt the Texas law and continue performing abortions at death mills. Yeah. Quote, we need to go in and get women in Texas and protect their constitution, protect their medical rights. No, there's nothing in the Constitution regarding abortion. Just facts. And the way you do that is you deputize doctors, Mistel said. You federalize doctors through an executive order of army of federal doctors who are going to go into Texas and protect the Constitution by consulting women about their privacy rights and medical history. By establishing, quote, an army of federal doctors, Mistel claimed doctors will be protected by qualified immunity. Diplomatic immunity. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of a movie. By establishing an army of federal doctors, Mistel claimed would then be protected by, like I said, qualified immunity. Federalizing the doctor force. That would protect those abortion providers from the Texas law, which, as we all said, is a bounty system only private citizens can enforce. Well, you know what the federal officials are protected from. Private citizens' actions by qualified immunity, which I don't like. No. Really? We'll never guess that one. But you know what? It's time to play hardball, right? It's not go high time. This is go time, Mistel said. Ooh, with an intensity. Mr. Harvard Law School graduate, online, went on to say, so you send in doctors. They're protected with qualified immunity. And the way you get around the Hyde Amendment, which is this ridiculous rule that government can't spend money on abortions because apparently poor people don't get the same health care as everyone else, fine. But what you get around the Hyde Amendment is that you made abortions free, which, by the way, they probably should be already, and privately funded doctors who are doing this in service in defense of the Constitution. Dementia could do that tonight. And you could have the doctors on their way to Texas tomorrow. That's what he would do if he needed to go get some people off of roofs in a flooding situation. Reid's response, great idea. My thoughts. This guy Mistel's a clown. He's an absolute ass clown. It's amazing that with everything that Joe Dementia did, 60 executive laws, 60 executive orders within the first 3 days after he was elected by the most ethical and moral voting means in this nation's history. No, I hate to tell you, Mr. All, but Clown Boy, no, he could not do it with an executive order. He could not supersede state law, and on top of it, which the Supreme Court has upheld. So, nice try. You're an idiot. But then again, should you be surprised that Joy Reid said, yeah, sounds like a great idea? By comparing it to flooding victims. Amazing. But what do you expect? This is the kind of nonsense and fools that you get watching this show and appearing on this show. But not surprised. All right. Story number 2. And this comes out of Breitbart. CNN op-ed. Black-brown Americans will help white supremacy adapt. CNN published an op-ed Saturday arguing that even as America becomes more diverse, check that box, white supremes will adapt as some black and brown Americans embrace the idea of whiteness. It will still be white supreme with a tan. This op-ed comes out as establishment media outlets have attempted to portray conservative talk show host Larry Elder, who leads contenders against Gavin Newsom in the recall election, as the black face of white supremes. The op-ed by CNN producer John Blake argues that while he feels a yearning embedded in my DNA that a demographic tide will overtake white supremes, the danger is that white supremes, it expands to accommodate new members if they have the right look. The idea of racial hierarchy, which Blake traces to slavery, of course he does, still persists. He cites tendencies among the Latinos to prefer whiteness in the presence of racial diversity. He also writes, what happened in some Latino American countries, Latino, yes, not Latinx, I'm sorry, I'm a Latino, Latinx is garbage, can easily happen in the United States. There would be cosmetic changes to our racial makeup, more black, brown, and multiracial people, but the dominant group will still remain whiteness. However, they may be defined by 2045. He says that the perception in the U.S. has overcome racism will make it harder to fight racism. You can no longer fight racism if everyone believes that their country has moved past the racistness. Blake arrives at a familiar solution, one shared by the critical race theory pioneer Derek Bell, who's been called out and who has been debunked by one Thomas Sowell. Check him out. Namely, that redistribution of resources is the answer. Redistribution. Where have I heard that before? Oh, yes. One Barry Soweto, a.k.a. Barack Obama. It would involve a more equitable sharing of power and resources, not out of white guilt or compulsion, but out of knowledge that we all do better when we all do better. Blake also suggests discarding the idea of race itself, but not explain how he would do that to help maintain a consciousness that racism still needs to be dismantled. My thoughts. This is what I like to call the head in the car door moment. You slam your head in the car door over and over again, just like insanity, expecting a different result. And with this nonsense, this garbage, this is bullshit being spewed by the CNN douchebag. Like I said, it's not surprising. Just like with MSLSD and Joy Reid, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. The fact of the matter is that going after Larry Elder doesn't do anything for you, buddy. It really doesn't. Larry Elder is leading all the polls, and right now the way it's looking like he's got a hell of a shot at knocking Gavin Newsom off. You talk about whiteness and white supremes, but yet you don't talk about white privilege. I didn't see white privilege in that article at all, but someone like Gavin Newsom, whose father happened to be an attorney for Getty Oil, that's not white privilege. But Larry Elder, who came from nothing to build himself up to the man that he is today, yeah, he's the face of white supremes. Really? And with that being said, I'm Jasper Gonzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below, like it, share it, subscribe to it, hit the notification bell so you never, ever, ever miss a thing. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.